Man, have I been excited to make this video. Hey everyone, how's it going? We are out on another great day on the KLX today. Today's topic is going to be pretty exciting. Today you guys are going to help me decide what build I should do next. I have some pretty great ideas. You guys are going to want to stick around, help me decide. I'm pretty excited for them. All of my ideas. Be super fun to go ahead and pursue. So of course, as we're moving along through the list here and my ideas, go ahead, comment down below which idea you like the best, which build idea you like the best. And of course, if you're not subscribed already, go down there, hit the subscribe button, get the bell on. We are almost to 1,000, which is really exciting. Exciting things are going to be happening here on the channel. More parts, new build coming soon. So go down there, hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and get into that list. So, the list isn't in any particular order. So let's go ahead and start out with the FZ07, but an FZ07 Supermoto. There are actually two FZ07 Supermotos on my list. One FZ07 Supermoto means that I would take, say, an XR650L, of course, with Supermoto wheels, and I would shove an FZ07 motor into that bike, creating an FZ07 Supermoto. Now that option is probably the most difficult option out of all of them. It would require, of course, some fabrication, which costs more money, but it would be a pretty sweet bike. Now the other thing that that bike wouldn't have would be ABS. I'm still undecided if I want ABS on the next bike or not, because if I did have ABS, I would create a kill switch to turn off the ABS, because all of these bikes are pretty much bikes that I would turn into a scrambler, or I could take off road at least a little bit, some gravel roads. So if I had ABS, I'd mainly use it for wet weather or when the roads are damp. But other than that, I'd probably keep it off like on days today, because, you know, it's more fun to be able to slide the rear tire around. So that's one option right there. That's the Zo7 Supermoto. So something like an actual dual sport with an FZ07 motor in it. And like I said, that would be the toughest option to do. It would cost the most. But now here's the other FZ07 Supermoto option. I would take an FZ07, and I'll put a picture up for you guys right now as to what I would do with that FZ07. As you can see, it would look like a Supermoto. Of course, it wouldn't have the suspension travel of it, but it would have some custom body work there, probably from some sheet aluminum, and the subframe would be worked out a little bit. It would have basically the seating position of an actual Supermoto slash dual sport, but without the suspension travel, but it would have pretty much everything else. Suspension travel would not be one of them, ground clearance as well. But you could also take the FZ07 on some pretty decent gravel roads and whatnot. If you guys have seen Jake the Garden Snake's adventure bike build, So the FZ07 is definitely capable of some light stuff, so that I think would be a pretty sweet build to do. And you can get the FZ07 with ABS, so again, it would have ABS, and I'd be able to wire in a switch to where I could turn it off. So you could still have fun on it, and it would have more power, which is also something that is a contributing factor to this list. I want something with more power to expand my riding radius out a little bit. Maybe take some longer rides to the beach. Well, not to the beach, I could do that on the KLX, that's only about an hour and a half, but something like to Seattle, which is about 3 hours north, and some more highway stuff. As I was saying, I'd like something with a little bit more power. Well, maybe not necessarily more power, but a little bit more gearing, I should say. The KLX has a pretty adequate amount of power for me. I just think if I had a little bit more gearing to cruise at, say, 80, that would be great. Under the overpass. So there's those two options, the Zo7 Supermoto, Duo, have you. Either one of those I think would be pretty sweet. Of course, one has ABS and one doesn't, and I'm kind of thinking that I'd like ABS just for the days here in Oregon, which is a lot of the year, where the road might be damp a little bit for winter riding. But both of them would have great power, and both of them would be, I don't know, an absolute blast to build, and of course document the process along the way. Now, you guys may be thinking, why not just get a Husqvarna 701 instead of going through all that work putting a Yamaha engine inside a dual sport, or creating a Supermoto out of an FZ07? Well, one, why not? It'd be something different and unique, and a lot of people have the 701s and 501s, and while they'd be cool, just not different enough for my taste. It'd be a lot more fun to build something and have it unique, because then you'd feel like you had a part in creating it. And second, I think it would be a little bit more reliable than the Husqvarna / KTM, so that's a plus right there. And the Husqvarna / KTM, they want a lot more out the door, out of pocket. Probably have to spend about $8,000 to get into one of those, whereas an FZ07 you could spend probably a little bit less than $4,000. It's a lot better deal in my opinion, but the main thing is that it's unique and something different. Next build idea, this one I think would be the most feasible, and I think it would also be a pretty sweet build. Not a lot of people actually do them, at least I don't really see them on YouTube that much, and that is the Kawasaki Z400. Now, a lot of you guys probably are thinking, well, I definitely have seen some Ninja 400s and Z400s on YouTube. Well, of course, I would want to make the Z400 into a little bit of a scrambler, number one. And number two, you guys know me, how I roll. Probably wouldn't stay stock for very long. Of course, we get our numbers, baseline, stock numbers, and stage 1 mods have you, exhaust, intake, and a tuner. But after that, things would start going up really, really quickly. The final outcome of that bike would be a ported head, cams, velocity stacks, and of course the intake exhaust, and a tune, which would bring that bike to about 60 wheel horsepower from what I've been researching, and that would almost be similar to a stock FZ07. So then you might say, well, why don't you just get an FZ07? Well, again, why not push the limits a little bit and see what I can accomplish with a bike. The Z400 is a pretty new bike. I have a good friend at a dealer that could probably help me get a new Z400 where we could start the build at a decent cost, and then I could go from there, turning it into a scrambler type of build. Of course, keep the functionality of still being able to put street wheels on it and take it to the track, which is also another thing that I would like to do with the next bike. I'd like to take it to the drag strip every once in a while, and road course stuff. Of course, we have PIR here, so I could drag race it in the summer and do a couple OMRA events, start learning some road course stuff. And that brings me to another point, is that while I'm working on this other build and I have another bike to ride, I could start doing some other stuff to the KLX, which I have talked about doing, and start pushing the limits of the KLX a little bit. Maybe might be able to take it to the go-kart tracks, run it as a supermoto. But yeah, that's the other thing. The next build, I would like to be able to take it to the track more, do some higher speed stuff, drag racing, road course stuff, and start having some fun there and learning the ropes of a road course. So with the Z400, like I said, I would start out by uncorking it a little bit, start doing some stuff to turn it into a scrambler like all the other builds, or make it more off-road slash gravel road capable. So some dirt tires, maybe lift it up a little bit, try to find some different wheels for it, and of course cage, custom skid plate, and all that good stuff. And then we would get into the real exciting stuff: ported head, cams, velocity stacks, thinner head gasket, a little bit more compression, 60 horsepower, and a naked bike. Be highway capable. It'd be something that I haven't seen, at least on YouTube. And it'd be a new bike. Who wouldn't love that? Wow, Toys R Us is closed off. That's unfortunate. Oh no, however will I get out of here? And again, the Z400 would have ABS, so I could wire in a switch there to make sure I can still have some fun sliding the rear tire around and all that other fun stuff. So the Z400 is kind of what I'm leaning towards, just because I think it would still be unique and it's most feasible. It would be a new bike, not a used bike, so that would be fun. I'd be with it from the very beginning. Like I said, I can get a pretty good deal on it, just like I got a good deal on the KLX here. Looks like he's got a little ripper right there. Looked like a Honda XR 650. Now just imagine that with an FZ07 motor. That would be pretty sweet. If you know you're gonna need to go straight, why wouldn't you just go in that lane? Anyways, I think the last option on my list is the Husqvarna Svartpillen 401. Now that's on my list because it has switchable ABS already, so you can turn it on and off. Has a pretty decent amount of power once it's uncorked. I think it's around 50 wheel horsepower. And it already has that scrambler mindset in mind, so it comes with, I think, TKC 80s maybe, and it has pretty good suspension travel, around 6 inches, maybe more, 6.4 I think, and then ground clearance is pretty high as well. I think around 6.9 or 7.2, I don't remember for that one. And it would be cool and all, it'd be a different bike to ride, but I think it would just lack that do something different kind of vibe. The Z400, I would basically be turning it into a race bike, but not 100% for the track, just have more power and do something different. I think that's the way to go. And then the FZ07 Supermoto options, those definitely do have the uniqueness to them, but the Svartpillen 401, I'm not sure it does, but it would definitely be a different bike to ride. I think I would go with the Z400 over that. So now, I did have some other builds in mind. Let's call them honorable mentions, because they would be pretty cool, but I'm just not too sure on them, I guess. So one of them was the KTM Duke 690, a 2016 and above, because I think that's when they switched up their head design a little bit, and instead of having rocker arms for the intake and exhaust, they just have rocker arms for the exhaust. And sometimes the rollers on them, I think they would break, or the pin would break, and yeah, that would screw up your head pretty bad. So the Duke 690, you can get a dongle for that to have switchable ABS. You can have just the front and rear, and completely off, and that would be pretty great. I like the truck. I like the truck. So the Duke 690, there's actually a little bit of a build thread online somewhere, and he turns it into kind of an adventure bike. So what that entails is spoked wheels and a 19-inch front spoke wheel. So it's a little bit taller, a little bit skinnier to cut through the stuff, and of course has the power to be an adventure bike. Go on the highway a little bit, windscreen, and I think there's a cage and a skid plate available for that, so that's a plus. But again, those are things that are kind of just already made for the bike, and someone could do it if they wanted to. It would still be a cool build, like I said, just not totally decided on that. And since that little truck idea came up, I definitely still want to get a truck. I think I know what type of truck I want to get, Silverado 1500, because it is similar to the LS platform, and the LS platform is pretty nice to work on. Cam heads, okay. I could do a lot of things with that. I would probably put a chase kit on that, and there's a lot of trails here in Oregon that I would be able to get to with the KLX, and of course a truck. Do a little bit of pre-running at the dunes. So I thought about having the truck as my next build, but I think I want to do another motorcycle build before I do a truck or a vehicle. The way things are going, I think I'll be able to get a truck towards the end of the year after summer. So I figured summer, nice weather, might as well do a motorcycle build. Other build ideas could be the Tenere 700, the Svartpillen 701, other bikes that cost about $10,000, and I figured that it probably wouldn't be smart to put all my resources into a $10,000 bike, new bike at that. At the moment, I think it would be smarter to do something a little bit more unique and custom, like I've been saying throughout this video. As you guys can see, I definitely like working on stuff, and my mind is always racing with all these ideas, possible builds, what can I do differently. So those are my ideas. I think my top three are probably the Z400, then probably the Zo7 Supermoto, not the motor swap one, the yellow one that I put a picture up for you guys, and then after that would be the Zo7 Supermoto motor swap. I think the Z400 would be the best out of them, just because I could get into it for a low cost, have money for mods, do the scrambler stuff, the ported head, make it an absolute beast. About 60 wheel horsepower, which is pretty similar to an Zo7. It'd be a little bit smaller of a bike, so it'd be more maneuverable on those gravel roads. It would be a bike that not many people really think about when it comes to, I guess, a sportier bike like they do the Zo7, of course, with Jake the Garden Snake. And then after that, in a pretty close second, is the Zo7 Supermoto conversion, we'll call it that. I just think the looks of it look pretty cool, and doing that Supermoto conversion would give it a little bit more ground clearance, which is pretty important when you go off-road. Suspension travel is nice, but getting your exhaust or other parts of the bike caught up underneath you is not fun. It would be a 700cc twin engine that would sound pretty wicked. It would look great, and it would be a hooligan machine with switchable ABS. And then the last version, whoa, Polaris slingshot, that's sick. I would like one of those in the future. You see how I think, guys? And then the last option, like I was saying, was the Zo7 Supermoto swap. That would take a little bit more resources, but it would be doable. It would be something pretty unique. I've seen, I think, one person do it. I don't remember what model he used. All of these options would allow me to go to the track, which is something I want to do this summer, go to the drag strip, do some road course stuff, start getting into that, learning more about that, and then having the KLX, another bike build, and the Corvette. Gonna be doing some stuff with that this summer. Some racing, car shows, of course, adding on to it. I think it would just make for a great overall fun time. You guys, let me know down in the comments what you think about my ideas. Go ahead and vote for one of the top 3 if you enjoy them, or if you have other ideas, go ahead and let me know down below. Things that can spark my interest, or other ideas as well. Like I said, I've been pretty excited to make this video, and I figured since we were getting close to 1,000, might as well go ahead, put it out there, so that way I can prepare for the next build. So I think that is going to do it for this video. I would expect that I'm going to be talking about them in a lot of the future upcoming videos. So continue to leave your ideas. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also share it to your friends and those who may enjoy it. Of course, go down there, hit that subscribe button. You guys are the ones making it all possible, supporting the next build. And I'm excited to hear what ideas you guys have, if you're excited for any of the ones I suggested, but I think that is going to do it. So, with all that being said, join the club, and I'll see you in the next one.